Welcome to the Turning Lemons into Lemonade podcast. Each week, your host, Amy Mewborn, business strategist and advisor, will bring you the stories of how successful women entrepreneurs turn their tragedies into triumphs to create the businesses that are changing the world today. And now, your host, Amy Mewborn.
Welcome to today's episode of Turning Lemons into Lemonade. Today, you're going to meet Liz Sepiel. Liz is an executive coach and leadership consultant. She helps leaders turn exhaustion into efficiency and focus through leadership and agile coaching processes. Liz has coached leaders of multiple Fortune 500 firms, including Spotify, United Rentals, and the Department of Homeland Security. She's been featured in Forbes and Diversity Journal. And in addition to her consulting practice, Liz serves on the faculty at Northeastern University. Liz holds a bachelor's degree in business management from Babson College and a master's degree in social organizational psychology from Columbia University. Can't wait to have you hear this episode.
Welcome, Liz. Thank you so much for being here again. This is our second recording because I just can't seem to get my head straight. But thank you, and tell us a little bit about how you got started in your business.
Thanks so much for having me. My journey into entrepreneurship was a long one, to be honest with you. And it's interesting because I come from a family of entrepreneurs. And if you look at my history and the people that have surrounded me along my path and those in my family, you'd think, it's kind of a natural fit that I run my own business. But that was not the plan for me for a long time. I wanted to work on Wall Street. That was the ultimate plan for me. And I studied finance in college and thought I could get those formulas down pat and thought I would one day find myself in a corner office with the power suit and all of that good stuff. And a few years into that career path, I realized it was not the right fit for me. It just wasn't the right fit. And it's funny, I was sharing this story with someone this morning, and I said, there was a point during those few years in finance where I would find myself falling asleep. And my friend asked me, "What do you mean falling asleep?" And I said, literally at my desk. Eyelids would get heavy, falling asleep. The material was just that unengaging. Yeah. And I knew that early on in my career, there had to be something else, right? I was always a planner. Finance was not the fit. There had to be something else. And it just so happened that the company I was working for was going through a major restructuring. And I found myself fascinated by what was going on internally with the people, with the leadership team, with communications. And I was just intrigued at witnessing the impact of these major organizational decisions on the employees and the team and the levels of engagement. And that really drove my decision to go back to school. I studied social organizational psychology, which is a big set of words for basically looking at people within companies, within organizations. And it propelled me into a new line of work. And for the past decade or so, I've had my hands in everything from leadership to training and development to coaching. And it really was having that drastic, experience of sitting at my desk every day with my Excel spreadsheet and feeling so drained, like physically drained by the work I was doing in comparison to just this natural, organic sense of being intrigued by the people. I wanted to learn more. I was curious. And it was that curiosity that led me into this line of work.
So I forgot how similar our stories were. My life prior was also finance. And I found that what had once been my absolute dream job. It was everything I had ever imagined and ever hoped for, was physically starting to make me ill. And it was making me ill because I was getting up so early in the morning to get my workout in before I sat at my desk all day. And, we were in an environment where everyone wanted you at your desk from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. And it didn't matter what happened, they wanted you there. And it's really funny how when you've been trained for that type of business or career, once you're able to take all of the training that you've had, because you have to be a big picture thinker. You have to be able to really break apart all of the minutia of all of the things that go on. You have to be able to develop strategy and pivot quickly. And so all of those things, that really has got to make you an amazing coach and probably the perfect person to help lead small business owners, just because a lot of times as small business owners, people don't have those skills.
I've been in this reality of pivoting lately, and those are the clients I tend to attract, those that are moving into their next 10 years of business, and they're on that growth edge, and they're in that kind of painful, restricted state before this amazing new world of opportunity open up. And I find that the diversity of my background has really equipped me. I agree with what you said, has equipped me to serve them better. And it's fascinating. I think that there's so much value in having a plan for yourself, but also in recognizing what serves you, what no longer serves you, and being able to take the good and carry that on to your next venture or your next journey or your next dream. And that's what I found. I resonate so much with you in becoming physically ill from some of the choices I've made or the experiences that I've had. I gave up an amazing job opportunity because I had a 4-hour commute in and out of a huge city, and it was draining and it was life-sucking, and it was health versus a really cool company and a cool brand and great career growth. But you need to prioritize and balance out what's truly important. But if you're able to make smart decisions for yourself and think about, okay, what are the really great pieces of knowledge that I've acquired? What are my skill sets that I can bring on to this next journey? You just grow exponentially, and you can take that on to whatever your next venture is. So for me, it's been, the finance, the business acumen, the time I spent in consulting and looking big picture and strategically, and now being able to bring that down to a people level, which is where I'd love to be.
Well, and the thing is that statistics say that the average person is going to have somewhere between 5 and 7 careers in their life. So if you think about that, if every one of us pivots in some big way, for me, I started in finance, and then I owned fitness studios, and then I started a consulting company. And each of those things have been like 15 years, 8 years, 3 years, you're constantly reinventing yourself, and every one of those businesses require a different set of skills, a different energy, and for you to show up in your business very differently every day. And that's why I think it's so valuable to have someone that really does specialize in those transitions to make all the difference in the success of your business, and especially if you're going through a big pivot.
Yeah. So often, it's funny, I didn't know you owned fitness studios. I love that. I'm a former fitness instructor, so.
Yeah, I owned 2 and had a staff of 30. And I said, that was the time where I had done what I really dreamt of doing. But as I was screaming towards 7 figures and I was managing 30 women, and we had probably 3,500 active clients between the 2 studios at any given time, I was overwhelmed, I was overworked, and what had been my dream had become a nightmare. So anyone that I now help open studios, my encouragement is always start with one, build one exactly the way you want it. Because, by the time you're running two in two different locations and you're trying to oversee two staffs and everything, there's a lot. And boutique fitness is very personal. It's very relationship oriented. It's not like going to a gym and working out in a big box with 80 other people that you don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah. I lasted 3 months managing a boutique studio here, and I give you a lot of credit. It's a lot of work.
It was 7 years for me, and I will say that the day that the ink dried on the sale, I was like, I get to sleep today until however late I want to. Because I used to get up every morning at like 5:30 and I would look at my phone just to make sure everyone got to where they were supposed to be. And then I would go back to bed.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it just, just different routines and different life experiences. And I'm so glad I did it. It's what allowed me to kind of transition into what I do today. But there certainly were elements of it that 7 or 8 years in, you're kind of like, I'm ready for a different challenge again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's so natural, in what we're seeing both in the corporate world and in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
They're constantly looking to reinvent themselves because they're looking for creative outlets. They want to be challenged. They want to learn something. Yes. So there's this constant evolution that's happening.
I agree. And honestly, I love it. I think that's one of the things I love most about the entrepreneurial space is that I feel like the entrepreneurial space is changing so rapidly that you have to either continue with education, continue with conferences and expanding your sphere of influence and all of those things. Otherwise, it's literally going to leave you behind. So it's the definition of if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
Yes, not to scare anyone there, but there you go. So tell me, what have been some of the biggest struggles you've had in growing your business?
Yeah. I mentioned my journey into entrepreneurship was a slow one. And I look back now and you always have moments where you kind of kick yourself. Why didn't I do that? Or, why didn't I take advantage of that opportunity? I did my undergrad work at Babson College right outside of Boston. It's been the top school of entrepreneurship for close to 50 years.
Wow.
In the country, probably the world, like renowned professors. My classmates run some of the top organizations. And there I was studying finance. And never really took advantage of the entrepreneurship courses. And when I started my business, one of my biggest struggles was not being all in, right? Similar to being in college, I was surrounded by the idea of entrepreneurship, but I wasn't fully invested. Mm-hmm. At the time that I started my business, I was full-time in a corporate role. I actually worked at a couple different companies over the first couple years that I had my consulting firm. And I wasn't seeing the revenue. I wasn't seeing the clients, not to the level that I wanted. And I finally got to, and I was doing all the things that I thought I should be doing, right? I created a website, like a really crappy website. When you could do it yourself and you're looking at everyone else and trying to compare, okay, what can I do on a budget and thinking about all the people that I wanted to work with. And when you're fresh out of the gate, you want to work with everyone. Mm-hmm. And finally had a conversation with my mentor, and we're talking about this. And, I'm going around and around on this merry-go-round, and we'd had this conversation multiple times. I said, Olivia, I don't know who I want to work with. Do I want to work with leaders in the corporate field? I'm doing this work now. Do I want to continue doing this work? Do I want to work with startups? Maybe it's people in technology. Maybe it's just women. And every time we talked, it was the same thing. And it was just a bunch of excuses. And she called me out on it. And I'm so glad she did. And she said, Liz, you need to make up your mind, because it could be a year down the road and we will still be having this conversation. Mm-hmm. And she said, why haven't you chosen? Why haven't you chosen? You can always shift later. Just pick one. Mm-hmm. Pick your client. Why is it so hard for you? And in that moment, there I am sitting in a small conference room at my company, right? I'm taking this call during the workday, which I probably shouldn't have done. That's okay. I think I was on a break or something. And I said, you know what? I haven't chosen because I don't really have to. I have a steady paycheck. Mm-hmm. I don't need to invest the time or the energy into building my business. And that, to me, that was a huge aha moment of realizing I thought I had a foot in. Mm-hmm. I was investing in the training. I was getting the certifications. I was telling people what I was doing. I had grown in that aspect. At the beginning, I wasn't even really telling people I had a business, right? I just thought people would know. Why do we do that? I don't know.
We've all done that at some point. I don't know what it is, but it's like,
ooh, like I'm now, coaching people, or I'm a trainer, or people, they're just going to hire me. That doesn't happen.
Too funny.
But I said to her, I'm not all in because I don't have to be all in. And not more than, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 weeks after, I gave my resignation.
So what made you pull that trigger? Because you just described, I think, something that a lot of women in particular that are launching businesses go through. For me, when I launched my first fitness studio, I had planned on staying part-time with my company, and they're like, nope, it's either full-time or it's nothing. And I'm like, well, I just invested my entire family's life savings into this business, so I guess I'm out. But, for me, I then had to make it work. But so often we're kind of straddling a fence, trying to keep what's steady and stable because we're afraid to go all in on ourselves. So what actually made you make that transition?
So a couple things come to mind. One, I will answer that question, but that shiny object of security will continue to pop up. As soon as you make that decision, know that whatever semblance of security or stability you have, when you move into entrepreneurship, that will always seem like the easy choice for you. As things get hard and rough and finances are tight, it's really easy to look at that shiny, maybe I'll just head back to that office or that cube. So know, once you make that decision to, go full time into your business, that little sparkly, shiny object may show up again. But what happened for me is that I almost had a come to Jesus moment. And, I got really clear with myself and I evaluated what was going on. Mm-hmm. The role in my company wasn't going in the direction I wanted it to go in. Mm-hmm. I didn't see a lot of development opportunities for me. The commute was sucking the life out of me. And I told myself, it's a now or never situation. I've been in and out of this for a couple of years now. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it.
Good for you. So when I left corporate, I walked out of my office on Friday and I opened my studio on Monday. So I had been doing everything in the background and had not told anyone I was doing this. And so literally I would leave the office every day at 5:00 and we would be in the studio until 11 or 12 doing all the prep work and everything. So we would be ready to open after I left my steady paycheck. And the first week I was in business, we didn't have the clients coming in that I had anticipated, and again, I'd left my job on Friday, opened the doors on Monday. I hadn't done enough marketing, and I would go home every night and I would cry. I said to my husband, I'm like, I think I just destroyed our entire family's financial future. And he's like, I know you. You will not settle for anything other than making it work. That's, nothing else is an option. So he's like, go ahead and cry, get it out, but then pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and go do the work, and that's the thing is as an entrepreneur, I don't care if you've been in business 7 years, 8 years, 15 years, there's often still months where you're like, ooh, I have more expenses than I have money coming in. And the longer you're in business, a lot of times the more you've built up your team, the more other infrastructure pieces you have. So like for me, again, when I was screaming towards 7 figures, that was actually when I felt like I was taking home the least because I was supporting everyone else and everything else. So, you're completely right. Those are those things that as an entrepreneur, you're often just afraid to pull the plug and go do the thing that's really dependent on you.
Yeah. I was talking with a friend yesterday, and he's a brilliant coach. He's like, I should just call him like my life angel or something. And he said, you know what? Sometimes you have the feels. Give yourself time to have the feels and then get into action. Mm-hmm. The only thing you can control is what you do and how you respond. Mm-hmm. So get everything out of your system that you need to, and then get back to work.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I will tell you, for me, having a mentor that often could talk tough to me and actually tell me, no, I hear what you're saying and it's not true. That's a story that you're telling yourself, or, you're actually what's holding you back. That has always been immeasurable for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love.
So tell me about the worst day in your business, your lemons story, and then how you turned that around.
Worst day in... Let me think about this. I have a couple.
We all do.
Which one was actually worse? Early on, I shut down my business. And there was a lot of fear, a lot of self-doubt going on, and a lot of who am I kind of talk. And I found myself doing a lot of comparison to other people. Mm-hmm. And in early stages of business, you want to do your market research. You want to see your competitors and find out who's out there. And for me, it was very easy for me to jump to, oh, well, they're doing this. I can't do it. I can't be too similar, or, they have gotten to this level of success. I couldn't possibly get to that same level.
Mm-hmm.
And that eventually led to me talking myself out of this grand idea of running my own business.
Mm-hmm.
I got in my own way. And, there have been other bad days, right? Not enough people showing up to workshops, or, webinar enrollment, not as high as I wanted. There have been other things, but that, and I don't even know what day it happened or what year, but I remember officially closing down my business. I had talked myself out of this dream I had.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, I came across this mantra, and it's, why not me?
I love that.
Why not me? And that's something I come back to now. First of all, I no longer compare myself, and I have cleaned up my inbox, and I'm off of all of those mailing lists, so I'm not constantly bombarded by the noise of other people. While it's tremendously inspiring to see what other people are up to, we all have our own unique value to bring to those people that we serve. I come back to that. Why not me?
Yeah. I love that. And this is the story that you told last time when we talked. And I think you just nailed on the head one of the biggest fears that we have as women in particular. And it's part of the reason I've launched the podcast the way I did, was because I felt like we all were looking at the most successful people in our industry, and we were thinking, oh, they've had it so easy. Look at how successful they are. And any day anything's gone wrong in my business, I've always kind of like sat at my desk and I'm like, can I do this? Do I really, truly have in me what is required to do this and do it well? And I thought it was just so important for us to be a little bit more transparent about the fact that, yes, maybe we've built super successful businesses, but that doesn't mean that every day is good. It doesn't mean that every month is good. It doesn't mean that we don't sometimes miss our families. I mean, my husband and I have been kind of like ships in the night for the past couple of weeks. We've each just had a bunch of stuff going on, and those are the things that we don't put on our social media. We don't put in, our blog posts. A lot of times we're often showing the good stuff.
Yeah, we don't show. I recently, and I don't know why I feel guilty sharing this, I recently had a stretch of months that I had to work almost nonstop. I had a lot of competing client priorities, a lot of big launches, and weekends and evenings, and I felt guilty not having time for family.
Yeah.
And it just around the clock. And of course I'm exhausted, and I'm not giving my time and energy to the people that I want to. And those are tough times, and it makes you question, is this the right choice? I love my clients. I love the work I'm doing, but gosh, this isn't a 9 to 5. It's not. What happened here?
Right. And a lot of times I think in our businesses, there are times that we are full on sprinting, and we're sprinting for an extended period of time. Do you have in your business or in your life any kind of like fail safes or things that you do for personal care that kind of help you show up in the best way possible?
My morning workout. That is a non-negotiable.
Love it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is, but I have a little home gym in my home. That is my go-to. That is me time. And that gets me going for the day. That and my coffee.
Mine too. I always say my morning routine is I literally get up, I go downstairs, I get the coffee, I bring it back to my bed, and I sit in my bed with my coffee and a book for anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes, depending how early I got up. And I love that like quiet, calm time before everything else starts.
Oh, that's the best time.
Yeah. So tell me, what would you say your secret sauce is that you're bringing to the business world that you don't see other people doing in the same way? Because when we look around, we can see competitors, but honestly, we all have our own tribe. We all have our own strengths and skills. What do you do differently than everyone else?
I love that question. You know, it's funny. I'm actually working on some new materials, and I was working on the copy for it. I'm like, how would I, what am I describing? What's my I guess the value, or how do I want to? What's my unique value prop that I'm really putting out here? And I think there's a few things. I think my diversity of experience supports clients in a really unique way. I worked for a number of different industries. I have supported everyone from entry-level managers in construction firms to executives in global tech firms. So my work translates a variety of different people and industries, and I'm able to bridge the business with the people. And while I love to get woo-woo and introspective and talk about intuition, I also really love to support people getting stuff done.
Action.
Bringing in new business. And yes, being very action-oriented. Yeah.
Well, I will say that one of the things I've spent a lot of time doing this year is really a lot of mindset work, because, I certainly come from the Midwest, and my parents were very young when I was born. And one of the stories I've always told myself is that there's just not enough. Money doesn't grow on trees, and you have to work really, really hard for everything that you do. And all of those are fine lessons as long as you recognize that you have the power to make a change to them, and that requires action. And so I always really like to tell everyone that I work with that mindset is super, super important, because if you don't protect your confidence and you don't protect how you're showing up in the world, everything else is going to crumble. But all of these people that are sitting here hoping for amazing things to happen, but aren't taking the deliberate action to make it happen, 3 years from now, they're probably going to be in the same place.
They probably will be. Yes. You absolutely need to be your own advocate. If you're looking for action, if you're looking for change, if you're looking to be in a different place from where you are, you need to be your own advocate. You need to make that change. You need to make that shift. You need to speak up and let other people know exactly what you're looking to create, because no one else will do that for you.
So what have been some of the best resources that you've brought into your business to help you grow and become the person that you are in your business today?
I remember you asked me this last time. Yeah, what have been some of the best resources?
Coaches, books, conferences, any number of things that you can point to and say, wow, that really helped me.
Well, I love the work I've done with Chris Winfield.
He's awesome.
He's awesome, not only from a media and marketing perspective, but I think he is a master at mindset. And he is one that has such a gift in being able to hold you to a high standard and call you out on the little details when you're holding yourself back. John Guyton, if if people aren't familiar with his work, he is a brilliant entrepreneur and coach, and he's a director. And he's one of those people who will see your best potential.
Cool. That's
and
awesome.
See it. He is like a mirror. So he's been amazing to have in my corner. And just various communities of people in the industry. And yeah, it's funny. I think it's so important to find your tribe. I recently started and departed from a doctoral program. And when I joined, I walked into the room and we had this amazing summer intensive experience. And I was one of 24 people in the cohort. And I just remember thinking, these are my people. Did you ever have that experience?
Oh,
yeah. You're doing it now. These are my people.
Yeah.
We want to learn. We want to do good social impact, all of that. And the program ended up not serving me professionally or personally. And I'm a practitioner, right? I want to be in the classroom. I want to be teaching and training and coaching and have that dynamic. And I ended up leaving, but that cohort remains such a tremendous support system. So, I think it's really important to find your people. Find your people. Surround yourself with the people.
I think that is probably the thing that has helped me most in my business, is having other, in particular, women entrepreneurs who have understood what it feels like some days to be running a business. Because, again, there are some days that you get up and you just don't feel it. You just don't want to do the work. Or, if you're like me, I work from home a lot of days. So I recently joined a co-working space because I'd lived here for a year and I put 3,000 miles on my car in a year because I was spending so much time here in my house. I have a gym, I have a pool, I have everything I need right here. So I was not going anywhere, so a community, I think, is just so huge. Tell us, what are you working on next and where can our listeners find you?
Ooh, what am I working on next? A variety of different learning initiatives. So I'm working with various entrepreneurs and startups in helping them bring their expertise to life in different learning modalities. So virtual courses, live masterminds, in really a variety of different areas, SEO and leadership and empowerment and health and wellness, and just being their thought partner and content creator along the way, and doing some really, really cool work and helping them bring their businesses forward by helping them serve their clients in a new way. And you can find out about me on my website, which I hope we'll post.
We will. It'll be in the show notes. But for anyone that's like in the car or on the treadmill, will you spell it for them? Because I do know that pronouncing it, most people probably won't get it right.
Sure. It is LIZABETHCZEPIEL.com.
Okay, so we will have that in the show notes for anyone that wants it. I always like to make sure that you hear it too. So thank you so much for your time. This was super fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us again.
Thanks so much for having me.
In today's episode, we talked about masterminds and mentors. So if you would like our free checklist on questions to ask before joining a mastermind, please go to the show notes at lemonadepodcast.com.
Thank you for listening to Turning Lemons into Lemonade, where women go for support and encouragement to hear how other women business owners turn their setbacks into successes to create 6- and 7-figure businesses. We look forward to seeing you next week.